take to protect your information.
And a familiar face joins the panel of judges on one of America's favorite TV shows.
All this and more right now on Newswave. Good afternoon and welcome back to Newswave. Today is Friday, October 25th. My name is Luke McCauley.
And I'm Michaela Mendoza. As you may have noticed, Newswave is not in our usual home for today. This morning marked the beginning of Alumni Weekend here at Trinity, and tonight the Comm Department will be hosting its annual alumni party from 5 to 7 in Studio A.
So, in honor of our alumni, today we're bringing back a blast from the past in the form of TigerTV's old news desk.
Our first story today concerns a recent wave of spam emails Trinity students have received throughout October offering free instruments and devices. The email touted Steinway pianos to Mavic quadcopter drones for free as long as you paid shipping costs ranging from $100 to $500. What was even more disconcerting was that the scammer used a Trinity coach's email to gain access to our network, making the emails appear as if they were sent from that coach's email from within our Trinity network. Swift to take action, Trinity Police sent out a warning email the same evening the fraudulent emails were detected. And on October 11th, Trinity University's Information Technology Service sent their warning email to the campus community. IT services warned there are red flags to watch out for, such as emails written with a sense of urgency or demanding your immediate attention. You can protect your email account using a strong password with uppercase and lowercase letters and numbers, along with the use of multi-factor authentication. TUPD Assistant Chief John Rouse offers straightforward advice, quote, "If it seems too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Stay diligent to avoid these scams in the future," end quote.
Season 16 of Shark Tank premiered last Friday, and viewers in the Trinity community may have recognized a familiar face. A new shark has entered the tank, and it was none other than Trinity graduate Daniel Lubetsky. Lubetsky is a billionaire businessman, philanthropist, author, and founder CEO of Kind LLC, which produces the world-famous Kind Bar. Born in Mexico City to a family of Holocaust survivors, he moved to the United States as a teenager and graduated from Trinity in 1990 with a degree in international relations and economics. After several guest appearances, Lubetsky has been promoted from guest shark to full-time shark to replace Mark Cuban, who intends to leave the show at the end of the season. To see Lubetsky and the rest of your sharks in action, you can catch episode 2 tonight at 7 p.m. on ABC.
Trinity students are expressing their frustrations about the price inflation of food options at the Maybe Market. These grab-and-go stores on campus feature lots of different goods for students, like snacks, medicine, or even meal options, but the prices of these items compared to their prices at regular grocery stores is highly marked up. Since students are required to live on campus for 3 years and purchase a meal plan during that time, students are getting increasingly frustrated with the lack of options and the price of the available food. Especially for students with dietary restrictions, finding food to eat on campus has become extra tricky. Alyssa Aldrich, a sophomore psychology major with celiac disease, told the Trinitonian that, quote, "I am honestly better off just going out of my way to go to the grocery store instead of just being able to utilize utilities on campus." While the Maybe Market has a lot of options to offer to students in terms of necessities, as bonus bucks begin to dwindle due to their high prices, students are looking to buy their groceries elsewhere.
This November, Trinity is proud to present its second annual Festival of the Arts across campus. From November 8th to 16th, students, faculty, staff, and guests are invited to enjoy a variety of workshops, exhibitions, and markets. On the subject of the event, Associate Provost Kyle Gillette said, quote, "The inaugural festival last year staged the creative life of the university at its best. Bold, meaningful, interdisciplinary, and interesting. It underscored the arts and the liberal arts. We are thrilled to bring this year's festival with the same synthetic connection between images, sounds, and stories. To learn more about the festival and access the full calendar of events, visit gotu.us/TUFA.
Still up ahead, where and when you can celebrate spooky season in the San Antonio area.
And how a group of Texas legislators came together to delay the execution of an inmate on death row.
Stick around, Newswave will be right back after this short message.
I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to Newswave. Halloween season has kicked off, and to celebrate, there are plenty of local events in San Antonio. The famous 13th floor haunted house is back through November 9th, featuring new dark fairy tale and virus wasteland experiences. Another haunted experience can be found on Fridays and Saturdays at the Forgotten Dollhouse Museum, as they offer Night of the Living Dolls. San Antonio Botanical Garden is also in on the spooky fun, offering a hay pyramid and acrobatic shows during the day, and pirates and swamp creatures at night. On October 21st from 7 to 11 p.m., the Tower of Americas will host a Halloween bash. Another 7 to 11 event is the Helotes Haunted Gardens on October 26th through the 31st. For a romantic evening, on October 28th from 8 to 11 p.m., High Street Wine has a Bring Your Own Pumpkin Carving Party, where each ticket includes pumpkin decorations, 2 glasses of wine, and light snacks. San Antonio's Booze Fest will take place on November 2nd and will go to bars such as Be Kind Rewind and On the Bend Oyster Bar. VIP tickets are available for purchase. Finally, the Zoo Boo at the San Antonio Zoo hosts giant animatronics and trick-or-treating until October 31st. Check out all these fun Halloween festivities.
With less than 2 weeks until Election Day, Newswave reporter Lyra Williams has mapped out the playing field of local candidates for students voting here in San Antonio. Take a look.
Has already kicked off in Texas. But there's more than just the presidential election. With so many names on the ballot, how do you choose? Hello, my name is Lyra Williams, and here is a short breakdown of the Railroad Commissioner, U.S. Representative, presiding judge of the Court of Criminal Appeals, and sheriff candidates for this 2024 election. First, let's talk about the Railroad Commissioner, which, unlike what it says on the ballot, regulates natural gas, oil, and mining production for Texas. Incumbent Republican Christy Craddock is running against Democrat Catherine Colbert, Libertarian Hawk Dunlap, and the Green Party's Eddie Espinoza. Craddock's opponents cited problems, with Colbert criticizing lax regulation and Dunlap and Espinoza criticizing the Railroad Commission's lack of transparency for issues such as abandoned oil wells that leak toxic chemicals into the environment. The opposing candidates have different solutions. Colbert seeks to hold accountability to the companies to ensure proper well plugging. Dunlap seeks to change the way abandoned wells are plugged, as well as responsibility to the oil producers. Espinoza wants more regulation to transition to clean, renewable energy. Under Craddock, the Railroad Commission has plugged 10% of abandoned open oil wells in Texas. She has proposed recycling fracking water and says she will, quote, keep the economic engine of the state moving, end quote. Next, the U.S. Representative District 35 race has Republican Stephen Wright running against incumbent Democrat Greg Casar. Stephen Wright advocates for the Second Amendment to bear arms, would expedite citizenship for law-abiding citizens, and supports veterans. Greg Casar is a co-sponsor of the Assault Weapons Ban and Bipartisan Background Checks Act, co-leader of the New Way Forward Act, and strongly supports reinstating abortion nationwide. In the judicial field, Republican David Schenck and Democrat Holly Taylor are both running for presiding judge of the Court of Criminal Appeals, which is the highest court for criminal cases in Texas. Both Schenck and Taylor emphasize the importance of impartiality for a judge. However, their philosophies differ. Schenck emphasizes a literal interpretation of the law as it is written, while Taylor emphasizes equal treatment for the accused people. Current Bexar County Sheriff, Democrat Javier Salazar, is going for re-election against Republican Nathan Buchanan. Buchanan focuses on drug and sex trafficking. He promises to protect law enforcement for doing their jobs, build trust between law enforcement and the local community, and transparency. Sheriff Salazar focuses on domestic violence and the ease which young people can obtain guns. He claims he always exceeded the minimum training requirement for his deputies, and that every crime issue should be resolved through enforcement and public education. Those are only 4 races out of the many that will be on your ballot. We strongly encourage you to do further research. Remember to be informed and make your vote count. Thank you.
A Texas inmate, Robert Roberson, was scheduled to be executed last Thursday, but was granted more time. Roberson was set to be the first person in the U.S. to be put to death for a murder conviction due to shaken baby syndrome, as he was convicted of the murder of his 2-year-old daughter in 2002. His lawyers and medical experts state that his daughter passed away from complications from pneumonia instead of the convicted abuse, and that the conviction was based on flawed and outdated evidence. A group of Texas lawmakers also believe Roberson to be innocent and issued a sub pneumonia for him to be testified before the House. Ultimately, the Texas Supreme Court sided with them to grant him more time. The Innocence Project, which is working with Roberson's team, said, quote, "While the news from the Supreme Court is encouraging, we cannot stop advocating for Robert because of this temporary win. Despite the extraordinary efforts of our elected officials, his attorneys, medical experts, and the hundreds of thousands of people who spoke out for Robert, his fate is far from certain."
For those of you going out next week to celebrate Halloween, Newswave's chief meteorologist Luke Morton has your weekly weather update right now. Check it out.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's weather segment. I might sound like a broken record at this point, but this past week continued to see sunny skies, no rain, and above average temperatures. This weather will continue for the weekend with highs near 90 degrees and lows in the mid to upper 60s, so enjoy that sunshine and stay hydrated. Looking ahead to next week, sunny skies and warm temps will prevail with highs in the upper 80s and lows in the 60s. However, there will be a 30% chance of a shower on Wednesday and Thursday. Speaking of Thursday, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about the Halloween night forecast. And right now it looks to be more of a treat than a trick. Skies should be mostly clear by Thursday evening and temperatures should be in the 70s. So overall, the weather shouldn't cause too much fright. Anyways, that's all I have for this week. I hope you all have a spooktacular Halloween, and I will see you back here in November.
The SEC has fined the University of Texas $250,000 after fans threw trash onto the field during their football game against Georgia last Saturday. The disruption occurred after a controversial penalty call, which was later reversed, leading to further frustration among fans. Ultimately, Texas lost the game 30-15, losing their #1 national ranking. The SEC has required Texas to use all available resources to identify and ban those who threw trash from attending events for the rest of the 2024 to 2025 season. The school must also review its game management and alcohol policies to prevent future incidents. The SEC emphasized that such behavior is unacceptable at its events, as SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey stated, quote, "The throwing of debris and resulting interruption of play that took place Saturday night cannot be part of any SEC event."
Still coming up, we've got an inside look at last week's senatorial debate between Ted Cruz and Colin Alfred.
And an update on the final countdown to the presidential election.
We'll be right back in 60 seconds.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. because love has no labels.
Torrential rains and flash flooding in Roswell, New Mexico last Saturday left two people dead and 300 people needing rescue by the National Guard. Motorists climbed on top of their stranded vehicles as flooding waters rushed by while they watched other vehicles swept away into the river channel. This flash flood emergency was the highest tier of flood warning, with 4 and 9 inches of rain falling in parts of the state, bringing severe and heavy damage to homes and businesses overnight. The inundation of rain hit a level of 5.78 inches in Roswell, beating an all-time record of daily rainfall since November 1901. The flash flood warning remained in effect for eastern New Mexico through Sunday night.
Tech billionaire and Austin resident Elon Musk has recently caused quite a controversy as he offered a prize pool for voters who sign his political action committee's petition. This petition advocates for protection of First and Second Amendment rights, and registered voters who live in swing states that sign this petition are eligible for a daily cash prize. Musk even gave million-dollar checks to a voter attending a rally in Harrisburg and a voter attending a rally in Pittsburgh. These prizes are in direct scrutiny of vote-buying laws, which prohibit incentivizing people to vote or rewarding people for voting using items of substantial monetary value. This election is looking to have a razor-thin margin, so be sure to get out there and vote this November.
Last week, Democratic U.S. Representative Colin Affred and Republican U.S. Senator Ted Cruz squared off in a televised debate for the 2024 Texas Senate elections. For those who missed it, Newswave reporter Max Craig has your recap.
On October 17, 2024, Democratic U.S. Representative Colin Allred and incumbent Republican U.S. Senator Ted Cruz faced off in their first and only debate for the U.S. Senate. The 55-minute debate held in Dallas was hostile and confrontational. Senator Cruz tried to paint Allred as a radical and a leftist and tied him to Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris, a line of attack that Cruz is betting will work in the more conservative state of Texas. Allred painted Cruz as extreme and never there when we need him. The race is important nationally because it could help decide which party controls the U.S. Senate. The latest polling average from 538.com shows Cruz leading Allred by 4 points. The contest covered a range of issues, including abortion, transgender issues, border security, and January 6th insurrection.
We'll give you 60 seconds.
I want to be very clear to the people of Texas. I support the protections and the restrictions under Roe. But Senator Cruz just called himself pro-life. You're not. You're not pro-life. It's not pro-life to deny women care so long that they can't have children anymore. It's not pro-life to force a victim of rape to carry their rapist's baby. It's not pro-life that our maternal mortality rate has skyrocketed up by 56%. That's not pro-life, Senator.
Exceptions like rape.
Jason, I'm curious. Why do you keep asking me that? But yet, hold on a second. I've asked Congressman Allred twice about his voting record and the fact that he voted to strike down Texas's parental notification law and parental consent law. You haven't asked him about that. That is his record. He doesn't deny it. He gives language that is disconnected from the actual voting record he has. And listen, my view, I believe in democracy.
In fact, he does worse than nothing. When the toughest border security bill in a generation came up in the United States Senate, $20 billion for border security, he said, we don't need a border bill. That's what he said. And listen, this is a pattern for him. He's never there for us when we need him. When the lights went out in the energy capital of the world, he went to Cancun.
Well, Congressman Allred has memorized his lines well. I will say this, though. He asked, what have you done? We produced the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years, working hand in hand with President Trump. He didn't address that. He also didn't address the fact that it didn't take a bill for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Colin Allred to break the border. It took a president refusing to enforce the law. I mean,
it's a lot. And I stand here as a proxy for millions of Texans who are sick and tired of this act. When Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out because the only position he ever played was left out.
Look, we should protect every child. we should protect every person. I have advocated protecting the safety of every child, of every person, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, sexual identity. Everyone deserves to be protected against violent crime, against discrimination. So, Gromer, thank you for that question. Listen, my view is clear. I think anyone who commits an act of violence should be prosecuted and should go to jail. If you assault a police officer, you should go to jail for a very long time. And by the way, that's true whether I happen to agree with your politics or disagree with your politics. I've spent...
Oh, that was really something. I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny, because you're a threat to democracy.
Sure.
I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results in Arizona.
I recommend everyone go watch the debate in its full context so you can understand each candidate's views and plans to handle these important issues. Again, this race is very important for both the state of Texas and nationally because it could help decide which party controls the U.S. Senate. Please make a plan to vote.
As the 2024 U.S. presidential election approaches, Donald Trump continues to claim the 2020 election was stolen and is calling for an overwhelming victory in November to prevent similar disputes. According to the Associated Press, both Republicans and Democrats are preparing for post-election legal battles with numerous lawsuits already in motion across the country. Many of these cases, mostly filed by Republicans, focus on issues such as mail-in ballots and allegations of ineligible voting. Election litigation has surged in recent years, with experts noting that legal battles have become a central part of political campaigns. Many legal fights are not necessarily aimed at winning in court, but are used to rally political support and raise funds. In response, both parties are organizing efforts to ensure transparency in the election process. The Republican National Committee has launched a large-scale election integrity program, while Democrats warn about the potential for election deniers to undermine legitimate results. Recent changes to election laws, such as the Electoral Count Reform Act, have introduced faster review processes for vote certification disputes, which could play a critical role after the election. Meanwhile, courts are already addressing legal challenges, including a Georgia ruling that struck down new voting rules as unconstitutional. These ongoing legal efforts reflect the heightened tensions and stakes surrounding the 2024 election.
To wrap up, we've got details on the leaking of classified documents about the war in the Middle East.
And your weekly sports check-in with Newswave sport editor Caleb Reed.
This and more when Newswave returns. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in 60 seconds.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry. I'll see you later.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to sports. This is going to be a very busy weekend for the Tigers, so let's make sure to jump right on into it. First off, Tiger football has been on a tear over the last 2 weeks of the season, bouncing back after a tough road loss to open the conference. Trinity has won their last 2 games over conference competition, taking a massive 45-26 victory over Sewanee here at home before then traveling to Rhodes and winning 38-14 on the road. The team has been boosted by big performances on the offensive side, as QB Ryan Back has thrown for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. One of his biggest targets in that time is receiver Will Taylor, who has had almost 200 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Meanwhile, over on the other side, Johnny Nwobodo has been on a tear from his spot on the line, averaging 1 sack per game so far this season. He is joined by Cade Rapson, the team's tackle leader, as well as the return of defensive back Tyson Cornett, who tore his meniscus after the victory over Washington and Lee earlier this season. The Alumni Weekend game will kick off at 1 p.m. tomorrow and will feature a halftime ceremony to honor all new inductees into the Trinity Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, Trinity Volleyball will have their senior day this weekend in a 3-match weekend that is set to be a thriller. The first match of the weekend will be against Southwestern, a team that Trinity lost to earlier on this year. This match will likely be the one to decide the conference champion, so make sure to show up tonight at 6 for the big game. The Hidden Opponent, a mental health organization for athletes, is holding an event where they are giving away free T-shirts for the first 100 fans to come to the game. Trinity will then play 2 more games on Senior Saturday, playing Randolph Mason at noon before the final home match of the season. The team will host their last match of the season against Concordia University at 4. Meanwhile, the World Series begins tonight at 7, with the Yankees and Dodgers playing in what is bound to be a highly talked about series. The two teams had the highest winning percentages in their respective leagues last year, and with superstars Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge facing off, there's no doubt that they will provide a lot of highlights over the course of the next week or so. Also, the NBA has begun their tip-off to the regular season with the year-opening match between the Spurs and Mavericks taking place last night. That is all the time that we have for this week. I hope that all of you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next Friday. Take care, everyone.
Over the weekend, top-secret government documents outlining Israeli military plans were leaked online. The documents are attributed to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency and were posted on the social media app Telegram on Friday, October 18th. They revealed classified information about Israel's preparation for a potential retaliatory attack on Iran following its attempted strike on October 1st. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said on Monday that the Biden administration is still not certain whether the classified information was leaked or hacked. Nonetheless, he stated that U.S. officials were confident that additional documents were unlikely to be leaked. On Tuesday, the FBI announced that it is investigating unauthorized release of the documents in collaboration with the Department of Defense and the intelligence community.
After touching land in the Bahamas at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, Hurricane Oscar hit eastern Cuba as a Category 1 hurricane. As if severe food, medical, and fuel shortages were not enough for Cuban citizens, the electrical grid collapsed on Sunday, marking the 4th time it has happened in 48 hours. Even though the storm is expected to weaken fairly soon, Cuban officials made the rare decision to cancel school until Wednesday and asked that only essential workers show up to their workplaces on Monday. In southeastern Cuba, weather forecasters fear that the storm may turn into a Category 2 hurricane with a dangerous storm surge. Chief meteorologist for AccuWeather, John Porter, said, quote, "Heavy rain falling in the steep terrain of southeastern Cuba raises serious concerns about major flash flooding, as well as mudslides and rock slides," end quote. Porter went on to say that this could cause a potential humanitarian crisis in southeastern Cuba if Oscar is to intensify. The collapsing power grids have been one of the most concerning problems, as it is a recurring issue that has been worsened by the hurricane.
Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed in an attack on the southern Gaza Strip last Wednesday. The head of Hamas, Khalil Hayya, confirmed his death last Friday and announced that captives held in the Palestinian enclave will not return unless Israel withdraws their forces. Other groups, like the Houthis and Hezbollah, also mourn the death of Sinwar and expressed their support for Hamas. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that Israel said, quote, "settled its account with Sinwar, but the war is not yet ended." President Joe Biden also spoke on Sinwar's death, stating that it marks as a relief for the Israelis and a chance to end the war in Gaza. Other countries like Germany, France, and the UK have also expressed their hope for release of the hostages after the death. Sinwar's deaths mark a potential turning point in the long-lasting war, and Newswave will continue to keep you updated on its progress. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching.
Newswave will return next Friday on Friday, November 1st for our final broadcast before the 2024 national elections, so be sure to tune in. Until then, I'm Michaela Mendoza.
And I'm Luke McCauley. Have a good weekend, and happy early Halloween.